you read about all this stuff all year long, but now here are people actually talking about it and can tell you stories about how it really works, etc. That's very valuable.
It's a great place to learn a little bit from folks who know a lot about wearables and at least what they think the next generation is going to be.
Let me just walk you through Apple Watch a little bit. So this is a glance. So if you swipe up on the Apple Watch, you'll actually see a glance. And a glance here shows you a list of patients that the doctor is going to see. So this is actually a doctor's view. So a doctor can also see notifications about a patient coming in and using the digital crown scrolling up and down. Physicians also can see medications on an Apple Watch in a notification. So if there's a prescription refill, they can actually see that on their wrist. They can also get messages from this device that's here today, that's out. Now, this is the Dr. Chrono medical app on Apple Watch. So a doctor actually, when they wake up in the morning and they start seeing patients, they can look hands-free at their Apple Watch and see a list of all their patients that are coming in for the day. You can see details about a patient here. And they're just scrolling through that quickly using the digital crown again, tapping. They can tap and see messages, so faxes coming in. They can see information about appointments on Apple Watch. When you press a force touch, you can actually say that I've read this one, and it finishes and it's read it. You also have chats, so inter-office chats from doctor to doctor, doctor to staff member. And there's other things here like labs and prescription refills. This exists today. This is part of the wearable revolution that is happening. So what I'm really trying to talk about today is, what is the practice of the future? What is a doctor going to be doing in the future in medicine with wearables? I don't know if you guys remember the old bag that the doctor used to carry with them. Back in the 1800s, they'd walk and actually see the patient physically. So they had a bunch of wearables on them when they went to go see a patient. They'd get up, they'd walk out of their office, they'd actually leave the office, go to a patient's home and check on the patient. Physicians did house calls like this, and this still exists today. There's a lot of facilities that actually go and visit patients in their homes. So it kind of is critical to have wearables. I'm going to talk about the problem a little bit in healthcare and what is happening. So here's a list of hospitals you guys can see. And there's a well-known secret in the medical industry. Hospitals actually don't communicate with each other. Medical records from this hospital don't communicate with medical records from this hospital, which don't communicate with medical records with this hospital, which medical records don't communicate with this hospital, and so on and so on. So if you go from one hospital to another hospital, you actually are usually asking for a paper medical chart. Some of them do have digital online medical records, but it's actually hard for you to get that data. And they actually make money for you asking for that data. So you'll go in and say, hey, I had an image done. Can I get that image scanned? And they'll say, yes, of course. We'll print it out on paper for you, or we'll give it to you on a CD. So part of the problem is these guys are not even innately in the cloud. They have their servers in the basements of these buildings. They don't have them actually in the cloud where they can access it outside of the hospital. So I kind of view hospitals very similar to these corn silos. So you can see here, this corn silo doesn't actually talk to this one, and there's silos of data that people actually can't transfer data between the two. And you have to physically take it out and bring it to another silo. And when you think about healthcare, I think about paper a lot. So a lot of doctors use fax machines. Fax machines are sending data back and forth, back and forth. If one doctor needs a referral or needs information about a patient, they generally send a fax. They're not actually just digitally transferring data from one doctor to another. So doctors are very frustrated. They go into practice to become a doctor to take care of patients. They come out of medical school, years of medical practice, and they become paper pushers. I had a conversation with the doctor not too long ago, and the guy was really upset. He told me he didn't want to deal with all of this paper. It's crazy. He literally is a paper pusher all day. Like, he'll see 20 patients, and then he'll have to furiously at night fill out all of these paper forms and try to get medical claims completed. So, if you think about it, what's the most valuable thing out there? It's caring for the patient and giving them the time that they need. So how do we do that today? So how do we fix this problem? So one of the things we're working on in the medical industry is moving data to the cloud. As silly as it sounds, you guys in the room can go from one ATM machine to another across the country and pull out money, and it will reflect in your bank account. Healthcare, not quite like that. So moving it to the cloud can actually help allow people to pull data out as opposed to these servers in basements. Also, digitizing medical records. When you think about medical records, I went to a doctor probably 2 months ago. The doctor was completely on paper. And this is me. I went there, and then the doctor was telling me they were backlogged and they weren't billing for some of their patients, and they were losing track of how they were getting paid, and they were completely on paper. They'd see you, they'd fill out a form really fast. They tried to fill it out, they put it in a pile, and they try to review it at some point. It sounds very simple, but getting doctors to use digital technology. But in using digital technology, we need to also rethink how to allow doctors to do their job and take care of the patient and not let the computer get in their way. So if you think about a doctor, a lot of the time they're seeing you and you almost feel like they're just typing furiously and not really listening to you. I mean, if you're typing fast, how much can you really engage with the patient? Are you really looking at them? Are you really caring for the patient? So rethinking design so the doctor can do their job and allow as much data to go into the wearable device. Another thing that we need in healthcare is an API. So data going from one place to another, fixing that hospital problem. Dr. Chrono, the company I'm from, we have an API for doctors. And the API is to allow these wearable devices to be used by doctors. Like in the 1800s, the doctor can get up, walk out of the room, and actually just take care of the patient. Have you guys ever heard of a cow? Anybody in the room know what a cow is? What is a cow?
Animal.
It's an animal, yeah, that's right. But your answer is also right. A cow is a computer on wheels. They literally in hospitals call them cows. So when you go into a hospital, they're carting these things around, these really heavy computers. This is the first thing that slows them down. They just push this thing in the room, and then they